Hello guys, Sue Jerry speaking. Welcome to Bedtime Stories, episode number 379. Today we do a little biography book about John McCain. So let's read it down, shall we? So we got for us. It's written by Graham Adams, illustrated by John Joven. Okay, published by a Golden Book New York release, copyright 2023, all reserved. So there you go with that, and makes sense to anybody who is senator for the United States in America. There you go. That's what I voted on, by the way, for president. Anyway, John Sidney McCain III was born August 29, 1946, on a Naval Air Base in Panama, if I pronounce it anyway. His father and grandfather, also named John McCain, were officers in the United States. Good enough. Makes sense to me. But anyway, United States Navy, okay. John's father, was stationed in Panama when his mother, Roberta, gave birth. Many people in John's family served in the military. They all the way back in the, Revolutionary War, excuse me. Anyway, for John, it seems like he always knew that we would grow up to be. And I voted on him as president. So, he lost his it turned out to be president. It used to be senator, you know. Next page. Anyway. During John's childhood, World War II was brewing overseas. John's father and grandfather commanded important missions in the war, while his mother took care of the family back home. Okay? It has to be good enough in any way, so makes sense to anybody, so there you go with that. It has to be a good one. Next page. Anyway, because his father served in the Navy, John's family moved often, and changed schools so much that made it difficult to learn. But John's mother made sure to teach John and his siblings, Sandy and Joe, as much as she could. Whenever they traveled somewhere new, the family would stop to visit historical places, museum, and natural wonders. Okay. Where he visited his grandmother, John, liked to read books his father left behind in his childhood bedroom, okay? He lost himself in adventure novels. For John, the tales of bravery were a reminder was always to be true to himself. It's good. And that makes sense to anybody, so there you go on that. Had to be good enough and ideas for all this, so there you go. Next page. Anyway, John went to a boarding school as a teenager. This allowed him to stay in the same school for years instead of continuing to move from place to place. John liked his new school. His best subjects were history and literature. His English teacher and football coach, Mr. Raven or something like that, taught John might be a good leader. When there was an argument among the football team, Mr. Raven trusts John to help the players come to agreement. Good enough. Unlike John, the other boys at boarding school came from wealthy families, okay? Most of them knew they would go to experience universities after graduation. John knew where he would go as well, but it would be very different. Makes sense to anybody, so there you go. That had to be a good idea, so there you go. Next page. Anyway, just as his father and grandfather did before him, John went to the Naval Academy in hopes of becoming an officer in the U.S. Navy. It was very difficult at first, but when there were many rules to follow, and John preferred to make his own decisions. He and his friends got in trouble for speaking out a term. have a messy room, and even sneak into television in their dorm. Okay, when it came time to learn how to command a ship at sea, John loved it good enough and did it well. Okay, um, the ship's captain allowed him to steer even during difficult moves. Good enough. It has to be good option to make for them to ship sail with the pirate ship. So there you go. So not like a pirate ship, it's a Navy dealership. So there you go. Next page. Anyway, after he graduated from the academy and joined the Navy as an officer, John decided to follow in his grandfather's footsteps, become an engineer or something like that. He learned to fly planes and live on huge stuff called aircraft carriers, something like that. During these years, the U.S. was involved in another war, the summer in Vietnam. John would hear from there soon. We'll head there soon, something like that. Yeah. Makes sense, a Top Gun difference, so there you go, and that makes a whole lot of sense in any way. Next page. In Vietnam, John flew combat missions over enemy territory, something like that. After only a few months, something like that. His plane was shot down. Wow. John survived. But he was captured by a few North Vietnamese forces and became a prisoner of war. Wow. John stayed in prison for more than 5 years. Wow. He was often sick, injured, or alone, with little to eat. There was other American prisoners there as well. Even when he couldn't see them, knowing that they were there together, they gave John strength and hope. Good enough. I was just felt worried for John McCain. He was a good president. Senator of the state. That makes more sense to me. So I voted as president back in the day. So there you go. That's the only time I vote. Next page. Anyway, by that time, John's problem was a very important member in the Navy. The North Vietnamese, though, releasing the famous man's son would make him look like the rest of the world. Okay? But John refused to leave. He insists to be prisoners should be released or that were captured. This is what happened. Not until they finally ended. The war finally ended, After John got home in 1933, he received many awards for his service and bravery. After John retired from the Navy, still wanted to serve his country. He decided to run for office. He was elected to the United States House of Representatives and then the Senate, representing the state of Arizona. That's why I voted for him as President of the United States. So, at the time in the 1960s, he was a contestant on one of America's quiz show scandals, Jeopardy, from Art Fleming, era at the time. So, there you go. It had to be more different than that. When I saw it on Wikipedia, that was good enough. Next page. Anyway, after the position in the Republican Party, John became known as a maverick because he was making his own choices about his to vote, even though it wasn't what the other members of his party wanted. After all these years, John was still fiercely independent. And yeah, he knew from his time in the war, there was no one ever alone. He built strong ties with the people in his party and the opposition Democratic Party by working together to share goals. His strategy was popular. John was elected to the Senate 5 times. It's good enough for president like that. Senate like that. Excuse me for getting away. It was good enough. So there you go on that. After that, he was there. And after many years in the Senate with his wife, Sydney, and 7 children by his side, John decided to set out his next adventure, running for president, which I voted for him, by the way. John was wanting to win, but he wasn't afraid of losing. After he wanted to run an honest campaign, in 2000, John lost his party primary to George W. Bush. In 2008, he ran again. This time, he won the primary, but lost the election to Barack Obama, which I voted on, by the way, on John McCain. John was disappointed, but he was proud to keep the survey in the Senate. I was spelling the book, by the way, but it had to make more sense. But I don't know what's going on, but it was too much, but you know. And 2 more pages. John passed away in 2018. 4 presidents, Barack Obama and George W. Bush, both spoke in the funeral. Makes sense. Just before his death, the Navy dedicated the ship named after John's father, grandfather. The USS John S. McCain was now officially named after all 3 Johns. The ship's motto is "Fortune's favor the brave." Yeah. Does that make more sense to anybody? Yes, it was. Rest in peace, John McCain. You'll be dearly missed by all of us. 5 years ago, this upcoming August. And the last page of the book says this: thanks to his bravery, John McCain is remembered to making his huge sacrifices for his country, for making his own person, and for always looking ahead for the next adventure. Just like a true maverick. Yep. It saddens me. And then what it is, it's just, I was voting for him as president in 2008. I was so close to be voting for him, making him lose. It was not there at the time. I was devastated because it's 2008, but I didn't want to vote again after 2008's election, but that's just me. So that was a little Golden Biography book of John McCain. It was a shocking moment after 10 years of his recent passing, you know. So, the book was a successful one. So, it was a tragic end for John McCain. So, there you go. And that was Bedtime Stories episode number 379. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned. Next week will be Bedtime Stories episode number 308, which will be about a little Golden Biography book about Dr. Fauci. Now, my excuse me, I'm going to finish editing this, and then maybe just finishing 2 more projects to do that was taped earlier tonight, and then just get ready to do something about my stuff and then go to bed. Because after this is over, I'm going to make LGBS is supposed to be happen tonight, and then do what plan on doing LGBT. I was planning on doing the Video Picture Maker movie 11 in the works for today, but that didn't happen. That's just what happens. Till next time, so yours, Bob, so baby, you can move this, so